Hey there, welcome back to the Well Balanced Mind. I'm Shannon Rollins, your host, and I'm so excited that you are here with me today because today we're going to be talking about anxiety, the number one symptom and emotion that I have heard the entire year. All of 2020, all of 2021, I've heard of everyone is just so anxious and pent up, and believe me, I have felt the same way, especially with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear. So today I am going to bring you 5 tips, things that have worked for me to alleviate anxious feelings, to alleviate fear. First, before we dive into that, I want to challenge you with something. Instead of calling it anxiety, let's call it fear. Because our words hold a lot of weight to us. Our words have a lot of energy behind it. And so when we're calling it anxiety, it almost makes it seem like we can't get out of it. It makes it seem like there's no hope for us at all. And I want us to get out of that mindset. Let's get into a growth mindset where you can always improve. You can always help your anxiety, alleviate it more and more and more each day. And the reason I'm so passionate about this because I suffered from anxiety for years. I suffered because I was a perfectionist. And if you're watching this, you might be a perfectionist too, which means that you hold yourself to such a standard that you're trying to reach that it's unattainable. It makes it unattainable. It's never enough. Everything that you accomplish, everything that you do when you move forward with it, it is never enough for you. And what's that going to do? It creates pressure within us. And if we have that pressure, then guess what happens? We are experiencing anxiety. Right? And so what happens when we have anxious feelings? You might be different than me. My heart rate goes up. My palms get sweaty. I start sweating. I start overthinking. These are all the things that I go through when I'm experiencing anxiety. When your heart rate goes up, when your heart starts beating faster, it makes it hard to breathe. But what are your triggers? I want to challenge you before we step into these 5 tips for you. Think about what are some of the things that you know you do when you get anxious. Do you start becoming irritable towards other people? Do you lash out? Do you get angry? Do you want to cry? Does your heart rate go up? These are the things that we need to look at if we want to do something about it. Self-awareness, I will always say this again and again, self-awareness is the number one step to any behavior change. And I want to help you know that there is hope. There is hope that you can alleviate your anxious feelings again and again and again. It's just a matter of having a toolbox ready for you to reach in the toolbox when you feel that you need help, when you feel you need some alleviation. So we have our vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve, look it up. It's your 10th cranial nerve. And this is in control of our rest and digest or parasympathetic nervous system. That's when we are calm and collected. And we want to stimulate the vagus nerve, right? Whenever it's not stimulated, the interesting thing about the vagus nerve is it's attached to all areas of our body. It's to our heart, lungs, even our facial muscles, our perception of the world. So what's interesting is that we are conditioned to survive. And so our vagus nerve does us a service in the aspect of when it's restricted, everything is a threat to us. Everything is a threat. So when you go to the grocery store and you're ringing up your sub or your food and you think that the person ringing you up is rude, or you drive throughout the day and someone keeps honking at you and you feel like everyone's giving you dirty looks, yeah, it's because you're in a survival mode response. Let me ask you, whenever something is going bad, you have a bad day, you oversleep in the morning, and then everything else goes bad. Everything else is wrong. Everyone is rude, they're terrible, the world is a mean place. But then when you're having a good day, you got a promotion, you made a lot of money, or something happened, you had a great night's rest, and then what happens? Everyone is nice. Oh, everyone is so nice today because I did XYZ. but it's because it's our internal perception of the world. And so it's about turning that perception around with these tools and techniques. So are you ready for it? Our first one, movement. Okay, when you start feeling anxious in your body, when you start feeling it in your chest, by the way, not everyone feels anxious in their chest. Some people just feel it in their head, like the thoughts keep spinning again and again. But you don't have to have a physical response in your body. But when you identify what your trigger is, what is starting to happen in your body, start listening to that and get up and move. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Jumping jacks has helped people. Just jumping up and down, listening to music has helped people. Listen, no one is going to judge you if you are working in your room or doing something and getting up and you just need to walk around. If anyone asks you, I'm just thinking. But you know what I do specifically? If I'm feeling anxious for whatever reason, because you clear a lot and I rarely ever feel anxious anymore from the work that I've done. However, if you do start to feel anxious, just get up and move around. So I turn on music and I dance around. Those are great techniques that work for me. So as I give you these techniques, take what you like, leave what you don't, but try them out. Don't shut something out until you try it. And then you can decide, is this what's best for me or not? So movement, number one, start small. Walk, dance, do whatever you need to. Sing. Singing, by the way, is wonderful for the vagus nerve, for stimulating it and calming you down. So keep that in mind as well, turning on some music and singing. Number 2 tip is to practice diaphragmatic breathing. What is diaphragmatic breathing? It's breathing all the way in to our diaphragm. So normally when we breathe, right, humans don't breathe correctly. Ideally, humans, we breathe at the top of our lungs. But instead, you want to be breathing all the way in to the bottom of your lungs to get all that stuck air out. So do this with me, right? If you're feeling anxious and you're sitting there, you're sitting at your desk or wherever you are, I want you to put your hand on your heart here and put your hand on your belly here. And let's just practice a few slow breaths together. I'm going to count you in. We'll do something called the 4-4-4 breath. 4 in, and then we're going to hold for 4, and then we're going to exhale for 4. So ready? I'll count you in. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, hold. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now that's called the 4-4-4 breathing technique. You can do this any way you want. It could be inhale for 4, exhale for 4, but there's something about putting your hand on your heart and your stomach that's very stimulating to us, to releasing oxytocin, releasing these feel-good hormones, and just telling your body, I see you and I hear you. Because if you run away from anxiety, it's going to chase you down. You have to acknowledge that it's there and take that time to acknowledge it. All right, my number 3, which I already kind of touched on, was listen to music. Listen to music, move, dance around the way you need to. And in a couple weeks, I'm going to have an episode on how effective music is to our mental health and how we don't listen to music enough, and we need to listen to music more because it's so stimulating for us. Even listening to binaural beats, listening to the music that helps stimulate your brain, that helps you focus, which lifts your mood, just turn on music that feels good for you, that you know is going to help lessen what that anxious feeling is. Okay, so listen to music. That was number 3. Number 4, tapping. Okay, tapping is also known as emotional freedom technique. I do this with my clients for hypnotherapy. When someone is tapping, okay, we have different neural connections. We have different energy connections within our body. These are called meridian points. there are 9 different meridian points for tapping. But I'm going to do a technique that's just a little quicker, just quick tapping. Because who has time to go through all the areas, all the meridian points in your body and take that time? This is good if you are starting to have a really, really quick response, which may turn into a panic attack, an anxiety attack, right? So this is a quick way to do it. You're going to take 1 finger or 2, it doesn't matter, and you can just tap here on the top of the eyebrow, tap on the outside of the eyebrow, underneath, and then the collarbone. Right? So above the eyebrow, outside, underneath, and the collarbone. Now, when you're doing this, some people just like being in one area. I had a person the other day say, man, the collarbone feels so good. And as I'm doing it right now, I'm already starting to feel calm. Just tap your collarbone. And then on top of that, because this is what works for me, right? Take what you like, leave what you don't. On top of that, you can say, release and let it go. Or something that works for you. Something that works for you based on the situation might be calm confidence. Or release and let it go. Release and let it go. Release and let it go. You're acknowledging that the feeling is there. You're acknowledging that the fear is there for whatever reason, and you're telling it to just release and let it go. So try that. Remember, you could switch sides, left, outside, underneath, collarbone. Some people like to do the top of their head. Now remember, these are just a couple meridian points. This isn't the whole tapping technique. But the reason I do this is because I've had clients tell me, Shannon, I don't have time when I'm feeling very, very anxious and I feel a strong response coming on. I don't have time to remember what I need to do for EFT. I don't have time to remember this. And so what we want to do is a pattern interrupt. That's what that is. We're interrupting the pattern. We're interrupting the thoughts. Because once the hamster wheel goes, it's really hard to bring it back. So whenever you start to feel those anxious feelings, you could do that every single day. In the morning, wake up. In the morning, go through this entire thing, or you can look up tapping online. I might do another episode, just a full episode on tapping alone. But just say, hey, I'm worried about this, this, and this. You can write down all the things you're worried about and tap them away. Drain them away from your body. Because the things that are out of our control are out of our control. Am I right? So what service are we doing ourselves when we keep thinking about the thing that we can't do anything about, right? So releasing that and letting it go can become a daily ritual for you that can help, okay? So that was number 4, tapping technique, and which brings me to number 5, which is one of my favorites. This is actually a very popular technique. Forgive me, I don't know who came up with this. You can look it up, I'm sure it's online, but this is really helping you with the pattern interrupt. Again, when you start to feel anxious, oh man, I'm nervous about something. When you start to feel that, I want you to think of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. And I don't know if that's actually what it calls, but look for 5 things that you can see. So you're driving, oh, I feel anxious. 5 things you can see. Okay, I see a tree. I see the car in front of me, I see the car over there, I see that there's a piece of tire on the ground, and I see there's a sign. Okay, the number 4 things you can hear. Okay, I hear the car beside me, I hear the car on the overpass, I hear a bird, I hear a tree thing, and then I hear the music in my car. Okay, done. Then you move on to 3 things you can feel. Okay, I can feel the steering wheel under my hands. I can feel the seat underneath my sit bones or my legs. And I can feel the air conditioning blowing in my hair. Okay, good. Number 2 things that you can smell. This sometimes is a little harder because we smell so many things throughout the day that we don't actually realize we're smelling things. Okay, I can smell the AC, I can smell something else. I can smell the leather in the chair in the car, okay? And then number one thing you can taste. Are you drinking? Are you eating? Are you chewing gum? Is it an aftertaste of something? Like, okay, I can taste coffee that I just had 5 minutes ago. Done. Okay, so that's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. It's 5 things that you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And that is an excellent pattern interrupt. Excellent, because you're thinking of, it's almost like I Spy when you're on a road trip with someone. If you ever played I Spy when you were kids, and tell me that doesn't take you away from the feeling in your body. And that feeling. Now you're still acknowledging that it's happening. You acknowledge and say, I see you, I feel you, body. But these are the things that I'm going to do about it. I'm going to pattern interrupt this. And that's probably my favorite technique out of all of them. Now the important thing here with all of these techniques that we've gone over today is to really think about how you can use these in your everyday life. Some of them are easier to use throughout the day than others. So really take a look at these techniques, test them out, try them out. Breathing, tapping, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all movement, getting up. These are all small little things that you can do every single day. You can do it throughout the workday. You can do it when you feel a stress response coming on. And knowing you're not alone in this and that your body is speaking to you. Take a moment to be grateful that your body is speaking to you and telling you something is wrong. But you're not getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger. You're not in danger. So when you acknowledge your body and tell it that you're not in danger, then you start to calm down. Then the anxiousness starts to go away. But the second that we try to act like it's not there, it grows and grows and grows. So I hope this was so helpful for you today. And if you want to find out more about me or my hypnotherapy services, you can head over to shannonrollins.com. And I have speaking and hypnotherapy that I offer there as well. And I am so grateful that you took some time to really focus on you, to focus on improving your life, to focus on your outcomes. And I am so happy you're here, and I will see you next week.